If you've been a renter, you know it's stressful to find the perfect place. But Zillow Rentals make it easy. They have filters for pretty much everything, so you can find a rental that's big enough for entertaining your friends, but small enough they won't crash all weekend. Find your sweet spot on ZillowRentals.com.
Hi, I'm Pete. I'm an IT manager. Today I want to talk about...
Pete, heads up. We've been hacked.
What happened?
My password is my birthday. Well, everyone knows that. February 14th.
Why would everyone...
I don't get how these people figure this stuff out.
I think I do. Have you ever updated it?
Yes. I changed it to Valentine's Day.
Okay, we're protected with Connection Security Services.
You just gotta be more careful, Pete.
Okay, yep.
For hardware, software, support, and empathy. For Pete's sake, connect with Connection.
You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everybody. Hello and welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and Hunk? Her birthday's in March. I thought she was a Pisces.
That's a good joke. And
That's a really good
I'm
joke.
Carter, and look, I can't let you go without knowing. What? That even with the distance, and it could surge your family, we might still chunk something. Don't you think? There's nothing more brutal to sit through than a conversational quote that has more than one part, just trying to parse out every individual. Like, okay,
Carter's one-man show.
Yeah. Also, for the listeners who can't see anything on our show, obviously, I would like to point out that Carter is sitting in the dark like a vampire in his home, recording this episode from a crypt, I can only assume.
I'll do it too. I'm not afraid. Watch. Watch.
Man,
See?
Oh, yours is creepier.
This is worse.
Yours
It's only like
yours
half
is
of my face.
Bohemian Rhapsody. It really does. That's great. Hey, why are you besides being Freddie Mercury tonight, why are you the hunk?
You guys made me.
You're not happy with this. I think it's hunky.
Before we start recording, every time before we start an episode in earnest, we're always like, okay, who's wearing the big boy pants tonight? Who's the dad of our podcast? Who's the hunk? And we all go around and list all the things that we've done. And the only thing I have done that is hunk worthy is change a tire on a rental car on vacation since the last time we recorded.
What happens if you don't change that? What happens if you don't change that tire?
I would actually still be stuck on Highway 80 between Immigrant and Livingston, Montana.
Was your wonderful wife Jess with you?
She was, yeah.
So not only that,
you're a hero.
The love of your life would also be stuck on that road right now.
Well, I asked her to change it and she wouldn't. So it's like if she's not going to do it, I guess I have to.
She had a chance to be the hunk.
She had her chance to pull her own weight, but she was like,
once.
no. She was like, no, I don't know how. And I was like, okay, I do too. I had to Google it.
I love how mean your impression of your wife is.
You caught me mid-sip of tea on that one.
Sip of tea.
Cuppa.
Had a quick
Grab a
cuppa.
That's it, guys. That's the only,
grats, dude.
Yeah.
Freaking grats, you man.
Can't believe you did it.
You star.
I can't believe you did it. Thanks, guys. Me neither. We did call, because it was a rental car, we did call our car insurance. And we're like, hey, I don't know if I'm supposed to touch this or not. Or like, is it going to be like, like if you pick up a baby bird and the mom smells your human stink on it, and she's like, none of that for me, thank you, and leaves the baby bird to die. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was the same deal with a rental car, where it's like, we're not allowed to perform any maintenance on it besides filling it up with gas.
Yeah,
and so
you'd be surprised how, I called them. You're the first story like this I've heard.
We called them. They're like, we don't know. We have no idea. We're like, well, can you look on our coverage? And like, yeah, we don't know. Your guess is as good as ours. I was like,
awesome.
I kind of doubt that. This is your job is to assess vehicular risk, but sure, I'll guess at it.
Fine.
So we're like, yeah, go ahead and come out. Just, it's included in our coverage. Come out and change this tire. And we waited an hour and then called them. And we're like, hey, is somebody coming soon? They're like, oh, actually, since you are in the middle of nowhere, it might be another hour or two before someone comes by to change your
really
tire.
Great. That's really good.
So up to 3 hours.
And at that point, I flexed my cast off and I said, Daddy's got to go to work. And I stepped outside, lifted it up. I didn't even use the jack, just lifted up the car with my strong arms.
And you're wondering why you're the hunk.
And popped that other wheel straight on there.
Yeah. Over top of the old wheel too, which is crazy.
I punted the old wheel somewhere. It's in Yellowstone National Park at this point. It's plugging up Old Faithful.
Ooh,
punted it about 45 minutes south.
That's why my water pressure has been so good, I guess.
Water pressure. I fixed water pressure in the whole world by plugging. We had that one leaky spot, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's so pretty. It's a big fountain."
Wow, it's beautiful.
Plug it up. Plug it up. Now your shower's better.
Boom. I love that. That's really great of you. The other thing that I love is
no, hang on. I'm not done talking about how good of a job I did.
Okay.
No, I am done. That's it.
So I love rolling on ahead with our Olympicks : Carter's Choice series with his third and penultimate choice.
Hey, there it is.
There's that word.
Got it to it first. Didn't you?
We call it soccer. They call it football. I mostly watch it on Ted Lasso, but this time we watched it in a little film I like to call
Bend It Like Beckham.
And as we all know, legally to talk about this movie, I do have to get a synopsis from my friend Doge. Doge, take it away.
This week's IMDb synopsis was written by renowned and feared hacker group Anonymous. Taking a break from either fighting for or against the people to write
Not
this.
really clear to me. Yeah.
To write this synopsis. I haven't kept up with them. Don't know if they're sort of a thumbs up or thumbs down organization, but they did step in to write a pretty good synopsis. Anonymous says, a comedy about bending the rules to reach your goal, Bend It Like Beckham explores the world of women's football. From kickabouts in the park to free kicks in the final. Set in Hounslow, West London, and Hamburg, the film follows two 18-year-olds with their hearts set on a future in professional soccer. Heart-stopping talent doesn't seem to be enough when your parents want you to hang up your football boots, find a nice boyfriend, and learn to cook the perfect chapati.
Wow, that's a really good synopsis.
That's very
quite
good.
Gifted.
It's very good. That Guy Fawkes mask, they must have took it off to see all the keys on the keyboard so good.
That's why they did such a good job. They were like, there's more keys than I thought, guys.
I thought they'd only used the V for Vendetta.
Dang.
It's a pretty good joke.
Thanks.
Dang.
They did say the movie's called
Bend
It Like Beckham. So that we were a little stuck there, but
true.
It's probably just held down at all times. They probably have to go backspace to get rid of all the V's when they're done. Oh man,
this is my first time watching this movie.
It was also my
had
first
never
time.
seen it before, and
Never.
I'd never seen it before. And listen, I knew that it was 2002,
but did you know it was this 2002?
I wasn't prepared for how much it would thrust me into 2002.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I
It's like a
feel
time
like talk
capsule.
about movies being time capsules a lot. This is definitely one of them. Yeah.
It's, it felt appropriate to be streaming this. You can stream this if you've got Disney Plus, right? So it felt appropriate for it to be on Disney Plus because the DComs tend to do that. Y'all did me
for sure.
on my first deep dive not too long ago going through Disney Channel original movies, but this kind of has that vibe, and it also has I think a lot of other movies we've done before. But
it's definitely better than a DCOM quality wise, for sure.
Sure,
but it's very DCOM.
Definitely had some Guy Ritchie-esque camera work, doesn't it?
Yeah,
just
it's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Yeah, we had a quite circuitous. I don't even know what kind of shot you would call it. A whirlwind, perhaps, around a hug. Just a simple hug. And it was like,
it was a whole lot.
All the way around. So that's how you know they're in love, is when the camera circles. That's what I've always
100%.
That's what I've always heard.
100%.
Yeah, this movie is to soccer in a lot of ways what like Brink is to skating. And I mean that as a compliment, obviously, because I love Brink so much, but like just the idea of like pursuing the thing that you like because it's harmless and your parents just don't get it.
Yeah.
That's really where the similarities stop. But there was some very like hiding the football kit in the bushes and like lying about the job you have and like siblings finding out. That was all very like Brink.
Yeah.
And it really was. Which means I, of course, loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
obviously.
one of the reasons this was Carter's choice, we did, and if you haven't listened to all the movies so far, it's just 3, and they're worth watching and then listening to us, obvi. But
sure,
Prince of Thieves was kind of a gag, because we had our archery situation, and that was just selfishly really wanting these 2 boys to watch that movie, and most importantly, to watch it with me in my home. And very glad that we did that, especially as the Rickman heads that I think we are, either secretly or openly. I'm an openly Rickman head, but
we're the Rickmen.
That's very good. I don't want to overdo that. Rickman was great. Having Karate Kid is just so much because of the relationship between like Master and Minty. I think that's really important in sports movies a lot of the times, and we still technically, not until Bend It Like Beckham, have actually had a coach, which are some of the most important characters in most of the most popular sports movies. And so Bend It Like Beckham, and I really did like, and we'll get into it more, I think there's some pretty deep themes here.
Sure, yeah, totally.
That are fun to see from a 2002 movie about girls playing soccer. So my super pump, I'm going to go ahead and do it now as I'm revealing Carter's choice, is I think it was not afraid to show a little bit more of the grit of women's sports. I think, it felt like a lot of the moments that we would have in the locker rooms and stuff, and sometimes when they're out there practicing, just dressed like, if you look at any basketball practice or any football practice, there's a bunch of, honestly, literally half-naked men running around. It's not a thing to where it's like, I'm sure we were supposed to see some of the juxtaposition between the modesty of Jess's culture and then also going into this locker room culture that you're just having people change in front of you all the time. But I think the grit of that, I think the competition of it kind of made me feel a little bit like when Black Widow wasn't pulling hair. It never really, in the fight scenes, it never felt like it was just really leaning into, we have to make sure this is, only 4 girls, or it's like this just felt a little bit more of a realistic look at competitive sport. And we don't get a lot of sports movies that are centered around women teams. And it just feels like an anomaly and unique in that way. And I think for the one of a handful of shots that we've had in movies on women's sports, it's not a bad shot. So I like that it didn't feel too afraid of anything.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it was very, it managed to both like ask some kind of pointed questions about both like culture and religion and the way that they view like young women, and also be very, I feel for the most part, like respectful of culture and the religion in question while they were asking those questions. Mm-hmm. It was never like, the conflict never felt like it was like, this is bad because it's, from this religion, so much as it was like, hey, you guys, we don't have to hold me to this weird standard here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt very respectful in a way that I didn't know to anticipate, because I really didn't know what the conflict in this movie was.
Well, and that's what's so funny too. And I feel like that's a part of the reason for me to super pump so early too, is that it's just interesting. It's like in the middle of the very blatant DCOM 2002 vibe, there are themes here that you don't get a whiff of in Brink and like a lot of those movies too, because that's not the purpose, honestly, right? Like those purposes are to kind of either get us a little more detailed in on a world we don't know very well or something that's popular at the time, or just a world we've never heard of. We're either going to space or there's leprechauns everywhere, right? So
sure.
Yeah, it's a different breed, this movie. And I have a different opinion, I think, every time I watch it. But yeah, my opinion about Coach Joe, remains the same from the start. We don't have to jump to that yet, but
I would love to talk about Coach Joe, because that was the next thing I thought about.
Let's talk about it.
Hear me. I want to hear it. What's your opinion about Coach Joe? It doesn't ever change.
Jonathan Rhys Meyers, has got to be the most 11 out of 10 smolderific. Like, this man is always, if you look, I'm not surprised to see his IMDb profile picture to be the exact face he makes 100% of the time in this movie. At times, he's not a super dump, but there were times when his performance almost took me out. He is just too I don't know. He throws me off.
He's wooden.
And
He's super wooden.
He's
I don't
incredibly
want to
wooden.
get too much into character analysis, just a character by character, because that doesn't always feel like the pace that we go.
Sure. I found Joe challenging sometimes. I did find him likable, but he was just challenging sometimes.
He was likable. I think there was something about the way that he just looks. We talk about my super pump was how respectful it was to what feels like some of the culture of like some women's sport, right? But then to have this heartthrob love interest as a coach kind of feels like it takes away some of those things too,
It felt like almost like it took away the
triangle.
legitimacy of
It almost did.
the women's club, the women's half of the football club.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
I didn't love him. I agree. I think he was super wooden, super stiff. He was an Irish mannequin. And also, I don't think that we got enough of him. Like I don't know how old he is, but the vibe that I'm walking away from is that he's a hot boy who knows he's hot, coaching the women's football club to try and pick up girls.
That's tough.
The total, it makes him feel pretty skeevy.
There was something about the way he acted with his body that like if this was a script given to somebody else, and I'm not saying like it's honestly pretty discriminatory to knock a guy for being really attractive, but it was like the way he carried himself and the way he just uses his face the whole movie. I don't know how else to say it. It feels like a really dumbed down term. There were times like, especially in the club, and again, they're 18 and that's like the drinking age in Europe and stuff like that. But when there's like this weird, like two dancing with one thing, there's times where he feels a little predatory to me.
Yeah, a little
I don't know.
gross.
Yeah.
It's just
The dancing scene in the club.
He's the worst dancer I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness gracious. That entire sequence, like every time they're dancing, Jess looks at me and goes, "Hey, this is really awkward." And I was like, yeah, I think this is the most uncomfortable thing I've watched in a movie for this podcast.
I was waiting for them to break out laughing and as like a oh, wasn't it so funny that we all danced like that? And they
Can you
kept
believe? Can you
going.
imagine if I actually danced like that?
Right.
Yeah.
And it just kept happening. No, he at the end, especially, I'm going to get to my verdict on Joe in just a second, but at the end, especially when he's
Joe
like,
who? Who's Joe?
Mama.
Yeah.
When he's like, they offered me the job to coach the men's club. Can you believe I said no? I'm going to coach the ladies. It's like, cool.
They offered me. I said
you
no.
already do that.
Yeah.
Isn't
Awesome.
that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild, James?
Yeah, like we're supposed to be like, oh, he took a demotion to work with the ladies.
Right, dude.
It's like,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Why are you telling her this? Like she's supposed to be like, oh, you did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I won't go to America now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, my verdict on Joe is that their romance is my super dump. It felt like
completely.
every part of this movie that crawled to a halt had to do with the two of them.
She didn't need to have a romance,
No,
to be honest.
not at all.
There's far too many, and every single bit of the good themes of this movie have nothing to do with her romance with Joe.
All the best parts of the movie have nothing to do with Joe at all.
Yes, good point. Except Cricket was kind of fun at the end.
Cricket was very fun at the end.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even if it was Keira Knightley, and that's crazy. By far, the biggest name in this movie is the first time we've said her name. But Keira Knightley in this movie, I would be fine if there was something between her and Joe, and then we have to. It doesn't have to be there, but maybe there's. I don't even know, but
Yeah, as like a B plot, I'm down with that. Yeah,
100%.
You know,
It feels like Joe was included because we wrote the whole story and realized, I think there's something between Jess and Jules. And it's 2002. We can't have that. Let's add Joe in here.
Right. Yeah.
And there was some fluidity in, I think, the writing of the script. There's certain things that you hear about when you are reading the trivia or you read through like our main actress, her scar. That's a legitimate scar on her leg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Parminder, that's actually a burn. And I think the story that she tells about how it happens is pretty much adjacent to actually what happened.
Her quip about it put her off of beans on toast forever was legitimately hilarious.
Good. Incredibly charming. Yeah. She was worried she wouldn't even get the part because of it. And then the director said, no, we're actually going to write that in. We actually think that's pretty special. So we're going to go ahead and write that in. It's good. It makes it feel like there's multiple things going against her. And I think it makes it a little bit more triumphant even to see her story arc. But
I want to get to Parminder in just a second. I want to talk about Keira Knightley for just one moment here. I think that Keira Knightley's greatest strength, I have realized, is being in a scene where she has to explode with like laughter and joy. she's so good at it. Like anytime we're like coming up on her and her audio is not part of what we're watching. She's just like there as we're coming up, and she like, and like throws her head back. She just has such a large mouth with so many teeth that her smile just looks huge.
Yeah.
She's so good at like being like this like carefree, happy-go-lucky character. And I don't feel like we get to see Keira Knightley do that a lot. I feel like she is often playing like these like brooding, sort of like tomboy characters. And I feel like she was very fun and like joyful in this, which
very
I
much
enjoyed.
So. Almost like when she became Mrs. Darcy, but I guess that's another story.
Yeah. You know, you should really watch that movie, Jordan. I think if you like Keira Knightley, she's in that.
I was like, what have I put myself into? I'm just like, it's flashbacks. I was like, we're going to have to talk about her. We're going to have to talk about her. Anyways. Yeah, I think she did great. I think this was a really good role for her. And I think especially, this feels like it was a bit of a platform for Keira.
I was about to say, this is the beginning of her career. Yeah, she's like 17.
I don't know what. Yeah, she was 17, and I think Parminder was 27 actually at the time.
What?
It's
wild?
It's no Daniel-san. It's no shocker like that. But yeah,
27's a lot older than I would have guessed, though.
It doesn't look like 10 years between them.
Mm-mm.
No, it doesn't at all. I think, and I don't want to start taking too much away from us. I think I'm talking a lot about this movie.
You're passionate about it.
Well, I think all of the best scenes, we kind of talked earlier about, what are the best parts of this movie. To me, I really had no discomfort when we were anywhere in her home, in Jess's home with her family. I think were some of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Totally.
Hey, that's my super pump.
Awesome. I love that.
Okay.
Is the care taken to her family and then the rest of the like Sikh community that's depicted in this? Did you guys read that a lot of the people at the wedding, like our director just basically put out I guess it wouldn't be a Facebook post. Maybe he stapled something to a telephone pole.
Right.
That was like, hey, we're filming a wedding scene. It's a Sikh wedding scene. Can you guys just show up? And they had to turn people away. Costuming didn't have to give anybody any clothes. Everybody showed up like in their clothes. Like,
get out.
That's ready
awesome.
to go. Like it's just so, we talk about it all the time. And, this show does have the misfortune of being one in a sea of millions of podcasts hosted by 3 straight white guys. But anytime that we see movies that are not our culture and totally not the way I grow up, not the like social structures I'm familiar with, not the religious communities that I've ever been a part of, it is so cool to see anything other than my experience represented and platformed and legitimized and treated with respect through movies. Like I could have spent the entire movie hanging out with all of her Sikh friends and her Sikh community and never really interacting with anybody else. Cause it was, I don't know. I loved seeing that kind of care and respect shown toward that.
Yeah. Specifically Tony rules.
Yep.
I loved Tony. I thought he was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the big reveal of his attraction was not a reveal at all to me. Like as soon as like it was early on that I was like, oh wait, I think Tony might be gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very fun and like well done. But I just thought Tony was great. Tony is included in my super pump, which I will hold on to for just a little bit.
It's Tony's presence that challenged what I thought was going to be my super dump, because I initially thought this movie was quite homophobic in terms of how it is very
with
intent.
her mom.
With her mom, like the stuff with her mom was really tough to sit through. It was making me pretty angry to watch. I was like, this is so completely inappropriate, even for 2002. This is not a funny joke. This is just really, really shitty. But I think the presence of Tony in this movie and how the movie like definitely doesn't say he's anything other than just a good friend to Jess. You know what I mean? Like that he's not cast as the other, the way that Keira Knightley's mom is intent on doing. I think helps me understand that that's maybe just her character rather than this movie's official stance. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think what's tough is really all we got much of Keira Knightley's character of Jules, her family dynamic was this mom that was unbearable. And I think was supposed to be pretty unbearable, but it was to see, I think there were supposed to be some similarities as to some of the oppression from the older generations in their families, even though, I even culturally, but obviously heavier on Jess's side. But yeah, her mom was just borderline unnecessary, it felt like, for the storytelling. But yeah, I think a lot of the thoughtfulness of how Jess's family and everything that entails is presented. It has a lot to do with the director, Gurinder Kada, who was born in Kenya and really grew up in England, but is of Middle Eastern descent. This was an important movie for her. And so I think we definitely get to see that. And I think it's really cool.
Big time. Yeah, there are elements of this movie that almost feel like a slice of life film more than anything else. Like, just like a little peek behind a door in this part of England. Like, this is what this family has going on. Check it out.
Yeah.
You know, and Callie pointed it out and pretty early. She's just like, there's so many airplanes in this movie. Like, planes are a huge recurring theme in this movie. Her dad's a pilot. They want to fly to America. They live right by Heathrow. So there's planes going by overhead all the time. And I do think, not to get too esoteric and climb up my own butt too far, but I do think it's really fun and interesting how this movie just puts everything that just wants right out of her reach for like a majority of this movie. It's like she's watching these people play soccer without worrying about their legs showing. She's watching these guys play soccer and they don't have to come in and do chores. She's watching these other girls, date and not really worry about who it is that they're dating in some ways. And she's watching planes fly by overhead and go to other places. And she doesn't get to do any of that until she gets to do all of it. It's just,
that's a great
very
point.
interesting.
I like that. That's very good.
Well, that's the end. That's probably all I'm going to say for the rest of the episode. I think it's a pretty
All right,
slam
see you,
dunk
dude.
point. So,
all right.
The
Later.
music rules.
Oh yeah.
The music is challenging to me.
Really?
I will acknowledge that it's good. It is so 2002. Like, so 2002, guys.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, super. And we even get like British Underground 2002.
Yes.
There's stuff that's like, you forget that, as popular as American culture, pop culture is, it's not the only pop culture in the world.
It was, I could feel my glasses getting like shorter, like less tall, more narrow.
Wireframe.
My tips were beginning to frost the longer I listened to this music.
The cover of the "'Cause I'm Your Lady,"
The power of love.
it came so many times, and it was killing me. But it was also awesome. The soccer
felt
scene,
like a little wild that our credit song was "Hot, Hot, Hot."
Yeah,
to me, it was like pretty largely in Punjabi though, which was cool.
Yeah,
you could see some of the actors have like a little lyric cheat sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching Keira Knightley and her casted mother and father try and keep up with those lyrics was pretty hilarious. The scene where they're playing a match and it's just set to like recurring drum beats was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that
was
lot.
Cool. That's such a big part of sports movies is the editing of the games.
Totally.
Yes.
Right? It's like it's tough. I said this was a little bit Guy Ritchie, and I think it really is. And it was very 2002 as well. But I think I didn't really like. They chose to really show far more of like emotion and facial expression during that. I think it was pretty. It was smart in a way because we weren't like drawing up plays and things like that. I'm thinking about other content that I'm consuming right now in Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is not incredibly far off, but there is more of a knowledge of, kind of what they're doing there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was, we saw Remember the Titans recently, right? Mm-hmm. We watched that one together and that one almost did too much, and it's not something that I thought of until I had some boys who weren't as sporty talking about that movie with me, but it did a lot. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like most of our scenes with playing soccer were pretty fun.
Well, I feel like I could have used more of the game though. Like I don't.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know that I would say that I liked the editing of the actual matches in this. I think some of the things that some of the other, like Ted Lasso's the other soccer content I'm consuming right now, something that like sports movies traditionally do really well is that
and you watch Kicking and Screaming.
I watch Kicking and Screaming
morning?
every day.
Yeah.
Every day, it's my iPhone alarm. It just immediately starts playing.
The whole movie, Kicking and
Screaming. Kicking and Screaming, best of compilation. Try not to laugh. You laugh, you lose. But like something that sports movies traditionally kind of have to manage is the minute to minute tension of the scenes in the game. Like we have our overall conflict of the movie, right? Our arc that gets resolved at the climax, and we have the falling action, all that stuff, the diagrams you drew in English class, right? But then like as you're editing, you have to have the minute to minute, the scene level conflict, the beat level conflict in these moments. And so that would be something to the effect of like, we're going to lose if Jess doesn't score this PK.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley's going to get benched unless she can sprint faster than their left tackle, right?
Yeah.
And
we don't really
left
tackle.
No, I knew it already. We don't usually get like, we don't get a lot of that scene level conflict here in this movie. Like the example of we're going to lose if Jess doesn't score this PK, that actually happens in this movie. And I didn't realize that's what I was watching until I saw Jess react as if she just lost the game by missing a PK. I was like,
I 100% agree with that.
Wow. Then I guess that was a pretty big deal. I wish we'd spent a little more time on that. There wasn't really, it felt like there wasn't a ton of soccer in this soccer movie.
You know what I'm thinking that it's missing, which is a clear player in almost any sports movie, especially during the scenes of the games. Did we ever see a scoreboard?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's a big
didn't
deal.
know who the opposing teams ever were.
Yeah,
I don't know why they went to Hamburg. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great point.
It's a good point.
I don't know.
Shoot. Dude.
Yeah, the sports conflict, I guess, is all I can think to call it specifically. Like, like the conflict, the personal conflict was there, but like on the pitch,
Jess has a goal when she's not playing, but her goal is to play soccer. And so when she's playing soccer, it's like, great, now what?
Dude, I thought you were telling me a thing about your wife.
Yeah, my wife, guys, listen, my wife's biggest goal in life is to play soccer professionally.
Dude,
and I wish you would just get on board with that
my
dream.
brain so fast in that sentence. I was like, Jess has a goal during movie soccer. Oh, he's talking about this Jess. Like,
Wife Jess.
I couldn't keep up, dude. And the biggest thing that I think your wife just has in common with our Jess here in Bend It Like Beckham is that both of them need money to survive. And in order to get that, we are going to go ahead and walk on over to shout announcements.
Sort of a roundabout trip to the money though, huh? Because that comes at the end of shout announcements.
Well, you know, every trip has some sights to see along the way.
If you give a podcast the shout announcements, he's going to want a money to go with it.
Yeah, got to be careful. Give him those podcast shout announcements. Welcome to Shout Announcements. It's the part of the show where we give shout outs and make announcements. Big ol' shout out to all of our friends on Patreon because Back to the Future is up and live. It's
great,
juicy.
Gosh, that was so good.
That was a very good
That
one.
was very good.
It felt phenomenal.
Yeah, you should,
felt really
you should be very proud of that. I think that listening to Carter's first look into Back to the Future is worth every one of your 300 pennies that it would take to get there.
Stop. When you put it like that, people are going to be like,
pretty intimidating.
People are going to be like, it costs you 3% of a $100 bill.
And I'll tell you this: if you want to slap 40 more nickels on top of those 300 pennies,
that was so fast. You're so smart.
all you got to do is slap all those coins together, drop it in your local Coinstar, convert it to something you could deposit into your bank account, and then sign up. And you can get access to our Discord as well. And on that Discord, we've got box office ball rolling for a select few who jumped on board. We've got movie discussions, recommendations. It's popping off every day in Discord at this point. Like every single day, something is popping off in it, and I love it. Come on, we want you there.
The other there that we want you to be at is on the Apple Podcast Store, rating and reviewing this program that you are hopefully enjoying at the moment. And listen, if you listened to the beginning of our discussion about about Bend It Like Beckham, but I guess there's probably people who skip through shout announcements. I doubt there are people who skip through episode to get to shout announcements. But if you did listen to the beginning of our discussion, you'll know that I very confidently listed left tackle as a position in soccer. It's not. Jordan asked me if I Googled it, and I very confidently said I already knew that was a position.
It's the wing, right?
It's not. I was thinking of wing. But, please don't let that.
There's defensive.
Yeah, please don't let that make us lose any stars. We still want 5 stars.
Can't take
Everybody
them away. Can't take them away.
makes mistakes. Still give us 5 stars, please.
Something else, I want to do right now is welcome somebody to the podcast. We don't often have fans of the podcast, much less legendary A-listers. And Jordan, I'm going to ask a little bit of your help because I know you're the best at speaking Sly. But Sly Stone, Sylvester Stallone himself, is here
He just
right now for an announcement about maybe something special.
He just dialed in.
Coming your way next week. Go ahead, sir.
No,
you're going to be
translating. Yeah, no, you're right.
You're translating.
Right,
That's rude for you to mock him, right?
It was so mean, Sly. I apologize.
We are going hello next week.
Mr. Sly would like everybody to know that we are going to be reviewing a movie next week. He's very proud of it. He specifically shouted out me in this announcement. Thanks, Sly. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Adrian!
It's one of his favorite movies. It's the one where he goes, Adrian! Sorry for the impression again, sir.
No, that's fine. He had to go ahead and leave.
All right, see you later, Sly.
The Rocky. Rocky is next week. One of the most decorated films of all time. Is coming at you next week. The catalyst that started the whole thing. And we're going to talk about
Started movies.
We're still in the Olympics. Started movies. Very first movie. Tune in.
Sleeper prequel to Demolition Man. So
amazing.
I have been sitting here this whole time trying to draw a parallel in my brain to get it to work as The Rock starring Sean Connery and I believe Nicolas Cage? No.
Yeah. It is Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Have you never seen The Rock?
I haven't.
No.
Oh boy, that is TNT getting it.
I love that. Yeah. Hey, that right there is all I needed to know that I want to watch The Rock. Yeah. So
Ed Harris is in that too.
Yep, he a bad boy.
Love it.
Big deal.
Good shout announcements.
This year at Oshkosh B'gosh, we're dreaming big for back to school and beyond. From award-winning artists to athletes, some of today's biggest superstars and celebrities were once kids daring to imagine who they would be one day. To the next generation of icons, dream boldly. Find your own style, your own voice, and turn someday into today. Learn more at oshkosh.com/todayissomeday.
And returning to the pitch after a quick sup at the men's room, Jordan Wonders joins the podcast once more.
That's a corner. Quick check-in on the budget. Cost about £3.5 million, and it made about almost 80 million.
Wow.
Pounds.
That's
Good for you.
That's what I feel like I weigh after a couple of big meals on vacation.
A couple big vacay meals.
Sure.
Gains, bro.
So what is that in dollars?
About 15.
I just have no frame of it. You could tell me.
No.
Listen, hang on. You could tell me that a pound is 50 cents. I'd be like, yeah, probably.
I think it's more than the dollar.
It's definitely more than $1.
About 16 ounces, huh?
I think it's like 1.5 times the dollar.
That sounds right. I don't know.
All I know is I learned you take $1 bills, you crinkle them up and weigh them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what a pound is.
And that's a pound. So maybe it's actually a lot more.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Pounds are massive.
Quite a bit more.
So turn a sizable profit though. Did well.
Good for them.
Did really well.
Good for them. I'd like to super pump on this movie now, if I might.
Ooh.
My super pump is the scene near the end where Tony tries to fake propose to Jess to get her permission to go to America. And Jess chooses the route of saying thank you, but no thank you. I'd like to do this just straight up and down. And just, hey, here's the deal. I love soccer, football, and I want to play it in America. I think I could do really well there, and a team wants me. And I just think that's awesome. I just think it's so cool that this movie that is about like women in sports also at the end is like, and she's going to do it on her own 2 feet. Like she's going to do it by her own merit. Like she got the offer because she's good and she wants to go because she loves it. The end.
Yep.
So I loved that. I wasn't expecting that to be how this goes. I was expecting the change of heart in her parents to be the catalyst for allowing her to go. But it seems like her courage to boldly say what her plans are and their change of heart happened separate and simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think while it took maybe a tiny bit of time travel, she did manage to do both. I liked that she was at the wedding.
Yeah, right.
And was fully committed to that before she went to that pretty pivotal soccer game. My super pump almost was her dad. Him talking about his attempt at playing cricket, and he's like, and I want my daughter to. I love the idea of, in such a traditional, with this family, of having the daughter be able to right the wrong or provide any kind of, make a difference that the dad couldn't.
Totally.
Right? It felt like that would have been something reserved for a son, but it was his daughter that was able to do that for him. Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I hate Jules's mom. Every moment she was on screen was like murder for my brain.
She was awful.
Yeah.
Like she's awful in a villain way and like just bad to watch.
Yeah, I think it went beyond the like, you're clearly supposed to hate this character in the movie kind of way, but where it's like, it's not even an enjoyable kind of like, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I mean?
There's no
like
comeuppance.
It was unenjoyable. Yes.
The only comeuppance is that she makes a fool out of herself, but she's been making a fool out of herself the whole movie. So like,
right.
whatever.
She never realizes that she made a fool out of herself.
Right.
Yes.
Completely
agree.
Her only moment of clarity comes from joy that realizing her daughter isn't a lesbian, which is a bad story beat.
Rough. That's awful.
And if it wasn't for Jules saying something kind of like defending lesbians, if it wasn't for her saying that could have been devastating.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I had a moment there because I'd only seen this movie once before, but I had a moment in that car ride, when her mom is saying that stuff that I was like, oh no. Like I almost felt guilty for recommending it because if that had been the case, it would have just made me sick to my stomach.
Right.
But my super dump, I think, is with a handful of mature themes here and really important things too. It felt a little bit like the things I loved the most about Crazy Rich Asians. Kind of this like your culture and what you've grown up in and still, having the head and heart to make your decision yourself. I don't really like how Jules and Jess both get the scholarship.
Yep.
Interesting.
I guess it's more than not really liking it. It is my super dump. And I think that was something that we felt so tied to from the very beginning of, storyboarding and writing this script that it got in the way of things that would have very clearly made this movie better. I think if Jules stays, and that's why Joe stays to coach because he loves her, that makes a lot more sense. I think there's other things that could have happened without them. That felt decom. That felt like everybody wins.
Absolutely.
That felt like there weren't really any kind of like repercussion there. Maybe there's some kind of conflict between Jules and her mom and her family, like legitimate conflict more than just a slap on the hand of a bigot that keeps her home, like allows her to not go. Maybe they both get offers and Jules can't go. But I'm not trying to make this like a released in March in the Angelico Film Center kind of movie.
Right,
but it's
sure.
She's not Gary Bertier dying.
Yeah, it's not like that. But I think it needed to be not that good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree completely.
At the end, because I think there's some weight there. Guys, I almost very much, almost the movie that was going to be here was a movie that I would go ahead and like to drop and recommend because I don't know where else it would happen in any of our series is a movie called Love and Basketball about this guy and girl that grow up together and play basketball and fall in love. And it really shows the dynamic between what's afforded men in sports and what's afforded women, right? So there's this thing that happens to where it's actually a pretty rough end there. And I think it made it super impactful. And so I kind of wish there was almost if you haven't seen it, go watch Love and Basketball. It's kind of, it's talked about by like movie podcast and sports lovers. It's a really good movie, but it's not given a lot of chances, but I'd give it a chance. But we just didn't get that. That's my super dump. I don't think they should have both been able to go to Santa Clara and play soccer.
Yeah. Completely agree. A little
Because that also makes it
wish fulfillment.
It makes it look like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
When the whole point is it is.
Hey,
right? It's like we could beat the guys, but nobody's talking about that. I mean, that was last year that the U.S. women's soccer team got equal pay.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is the U.S. men's soccer team said they deserve more than us.
Yeah. Because they're so good.
They're phenomenal.
They're unbelievable.
They're making so much more money for these television networks than the guys ever. You can't name one guy on the U.S. men's soccer team. Probably name 5.
It's been that way, though.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
it's been
always
20 years of that. Yeah.
Now, was that actually David Beckham at the end?
Super dump. Anything.
There's no way.
We've gone through a whole episode and haven't even mentioned David Beckham, yet the movie is named after him.
Yeah. Like, was that really him?
I don't know.
No.
It looked like that wasn't him. That wasn't his wife.
If you're paying for Beckham to be in
You're
your
not
movie,
just going to have him be
far
you're
away
gonna get
in
the back
sunglasses.
of his head.
The back of his head. Yeah. That's my super dump. There's, did you guys see that when it was released in the US, there was pressure to change it to Move It Like Mia? And people wanted her to be
especially in 2002.
real into Mia Hamm.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But also, I think this movie doesn't need a professional soccer connection at all.
Yeah.
I don't think we need any of that.
I agree.
This isn't like, I don't know. The thing that it reminds me of is Like Mike, where the Michael Jordan connection sort of cheapens it. You know what I mean? Like, I think the David Beckham connection really cheapens this movie. And
you think Like Mike is cheapened by the connection to Michael Jordan?
I do a little bit, yeah.
He gets Michael Jordan's powers.
It's right. It's been maybe 20 years since I've seen that movie, so my opinion could definitely change.
I think
I could
Aladdin
honestly
is cheapened
say-
by the genie.
I can honestly say that I have no opinion about Like Mike almost whatsoever. So I was just shocked to hear that you had a
stop people on the
strong
street
stance.
every day and make sure that I tell them how I think about Like Mike. But like, even if we'd done a better job at our scene level conflict in our games of like, nobody can make this PK except for Jess because she can bend it like Beckham. She can bend the ball around the line of defenders.
Yeah.
Then the title makes sense. If we like, the title feels so like celebrity star grabby to me, where it was just like, this is Beckham's game. And it's like, well, Beckham has nothing to do with this. She has a poster of him on her wall.
But like Beckham's Game, that Aaron Sorkin movie with Jessica Chastain?
I think so. It's actually a Stephen King novel first.
Dang.
But yeah, there's no reason to include Beckham's sort of celebrity in this in any way.
Yeah, it was goofy. I love the poster. I love the teenager idolizing a player. I think that's great. It just feels weird to name the movie after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been better.
It does feel weird that it's Beckham too, also. Like it feels like it should be Mia Hamm.
Well, her whole thing is that she wasn't really aware that there were
that's true.
Pro-level female soccer stars.
Jules had to show her all that.
Yeah.
Which that also too was a nod to like, hey, here's how popular women's soccer is right now.
Yeah.
But I feel it, dude.
Yeah. You heard it here first. I can't
they
stand
don't
David
even
Beckham.
really like Jess loves Beckham as much as Gilderoy Lockhart loves himself. Like the wallpaper in her room is Beckham. And I don't get the reaction that I would have expected from her either.
Yeah.
I think she's flipping out.
Yeah.
Right? I think she's going absolutely crazy. If she sees him.
You know, that's a good point. I didn't really like pull away from the kiss and go fangirl about Beckham.
Yes.
He's your idol.
Another reason why my guy doesn't need to be a part of the story.
That's completely. He was almost my super dump. The romance was almost my super dump. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of like how Henry Golding was like not necessary in Crazy Rich Asians to us. You know, even though it's about the dynamic of his family, he was like one of my burp.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why does it have to be so much about this love interest? Anyways.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. I do think we have some medals to hand out, Carter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we certainly
Let's
do.
take a visit.
We're putting them on the pedestal here during Carter's Choice, during the Olympics. We're picking our top 3 favorite characters. We're giving that gold, silver, and the bronze. And I'm going to start. I'm going to say my third place here. The person who I enjoyed, but not as much as the next person, really not as much as the last person, was I did very much like Jules. I think Keira Knightley has a certain charm. It feels like worldwide Pirates of the Caribbean was like the big one for her, right? Yeah. To be Miss Turner.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to think of Barbosa.
Yeah. You're in one.
You're in one. She's third for me. Second is Jess.
I thought we would go around.
Oh, sorry.
Bronze is all around.
Bronze is around then, sorry. What's your bronze then?
Jules.
Jules, bronze, Doge.
My bronze is Tony.
Love Tony.
I love Tony. Thought Tony was very fun.
Love Tony.
That's it.
Silver is Jess. Parminder is my silver. I think she was, it's kind of like a one and done for her, it felt like. I don't think there was too much else that she's in that I had seen. Like any star in the early 2000s, she did have quite a stint on ER. But I've never really watched ER, and she's been in a lot of TV series. But I thought she was great, and I thought I think she was so good at just being Jess that there was never a moment where I was like, I've never heard of this girl, and she's kind of carrying this movie. She's a great lead.
Yeah.
And so
she was in God Friended Me.
Oh.
On CBS, an atheist's life is turned upside down when God adds him as a friend on Facebook.
Oh, I remember seeing those previews.
She's my silver as well.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My silver is Jules. I thought that Jules and Jess played off of each other very well. I thought their dynamic was a ton of fun to watch. And I agree. I think that Keira Knightley showed up for her freshman performance.
The gold medal. Mr. Bhamra.
Hey.
Anupam Kher, the dad, was every minute great. He felt such like a dad to me.
Yes.
And he was the surrogate for some of the biggest like climax story elements. And he handled it very well.
He's my gold as well. Carter, I want to ask you if you ever got Mr. Bennett vibes from him.
Yes, dude.
Completely.
Of course I did.
Best
it wasn't
movie
just
dad.
because Keira was in it.
Right. Mr. Bennett's best movie dad. Mr.
Amazing.
Bhamra's second. This is actually the second movie of his that we've done.
Wait,
He's
really?
a therapist in Silver Linings Playbook.
That's him.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Get it out.
Obviously 10 years older and without the big beard. Yeah.
No way.
Amaze.
Yep.
Oh, even happier with my gold.
I love that. That's great. My gold is Jess. For somebody whose name I had never heard and face I had never seen, I thought she
did a great job.
She put the movie on her back and did the lion's share of the work here, and I thought it was really great.
She did it, dude.
I was very impressed with her for the first and probably, it seems, only time. I'm not planning on watching God Friended Me anytime soon, so
Your loss.
Or
Yeah, not going back for
6 years worth of ER. So I
ER
guess she's
watch.
one of the doctors.
Yep, fair enough. Well, yeah, it is time to use a different set of criteria in order to rate this movie. The scientific cinema scale is perfect. Why was that Christopher Walken inflection? Scientific cinema scale.
The scale is
Perfect.
unbeatable.
As follows. The best thing we can ever say about a movie is own it. Don't lend it.
Buy that poster.
The next best thing, that's buy it. Followed by rent it. After that is stream it. And then forget it. And last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us.
I'm going to go ahead and go first for y'all's sake. Because I have this is a movie I brought to the table. And there always is a bit of a pressure when you bring something, especially that the other two have not seen. It's right up there when we bring something and call it our favorite, right?
Sure.
I rent this movie. I don't know if it has ever really been higher than a rent for me, because as important as some of these themes are, it is a movie that I will watch again. But I do find myself not willing to just dive back into it, because there still are some elements in here, like Coach Joe, and a little bit of the editing that's like, this is not, I think if this was something that I had watched in 2002, right? I think if this is something that I had seen for the first time when I was 13 years old, 14 years old, like I think it would have carried a lot more weight here, but it's just a rent for me.
Yeah. I think I'm going to stream this one. I enjoyed watching it. Going in blind, I didn't know what to expect, so it was a very pleasant enjoy for me. But I don't necessarily know that it's something I'm itching to watch again, and it wasn't one of those that like after a first time, it's like, man, I can't wait to recommend this to somebody. You know, I can't think of, it would have to be a very specific question to have me be like, oh, Bend It Like Beckham fits that criteria.
Yeah, I'm going to stream it for much the same reason. I thought it was great and I enjoyed it. But I don't know that I have much occasion to sit down for an annual bending of it like Beckham.
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible, but I don't know that I'm going to bend it like Beckham for me.
No.
You know, I might bend it like, dang. I don't know any other soccer players. Mario.
Rip it like
Mario
Rapinoe.
Strikers.
Ooh, that's good.
That's good. Somebody who runs fast, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
That's great, dude.
That'll work. I'll take that. Wasn't there a Landon soccer player?
Donovan.
Yeah. I'll land it like Landon.
I'll dink it like Donovan.
Dink it like Donovan.
Make a mess of it like Messi. You know, that's how it goes.
Just mess it up like Messi, bro.
I'll Ronaldo.
You will. I bet you will.
Run it like Ronaldo.
Run it like Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You bet. Y'all seen the video of him jumping 14 stories high in the air from the ground? His header, it's not really, but it's like his vertical is insane. They have like a thing.
This man
he just jumps so high for his headers. It looks like he's just like he's got double jump.
This man has everything.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. That statue of him is one of the funniest things that's ever existed.
I love it. I do love
we
that.
We officially run out of all of my soccer trivia. That's the end of my knowledge.
Remember that statue?
It's crazy that it lines up with the end of our podcast perfectly.
Yeah. We ran out at the exact right time to end today's episode. I'd like for each of us to say our name and what this movie would be titled if Jess was obsessed with us. For 2 chunks and a hunk, my name is Jordan, and Wonders, by the way. That's important for this part because my name would be in the title as Wing It Like Wonders, because I don't prepare enough, you know? I just got to wing it, and that's a skill set I bring to the table.
That's great.
Jess Bomra looks up from her bed to a poster of me on her wall. Her deepest desire is to dictation like Doge. And that's because I am so well known for my exquisite dictation. You can hear every single letter every time that I speak.
Your talk is so good, dude.
Many letters. Your phone, when you do voice to text, is like bragging to other phones.
It automatically.
Like, what do you mean you don't understand?
It automatically includes the punctuation and the capitalizations.
Phenomenal.
I had somebody try to send me a voice to text the other day, but they accidentally recorded a voice memo. And so in their voice to text, all I hear is like, period. Exclamation point, like while they're talking. It was very funny.
Not quite.
It was a very heartfelt message, so I couldn't respond to be like dunking on him, but I thought it was very funny.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm Carter, and it's Willis, by the way.
Oh.
Because that'll play a bitty prig. A pretty big role for me.
Do you know who it would do you some good to idolize on this podcast?
It's gonna what?
Oh, you just
are you setting something up?
You said some words wrong, and I did a whole thing about how I say words so good.
Good thing you didn't do. Mine is gonna be like Carter.
just so I'm. It would be like it'd wing it like Willis. It's just because I tend to just
off the cuff.
You know,
no prep.
Off the cuff. No prep can just wing it. You know,
it's crazy.
So yeah. Also, your flash in the pan like recommendation for me is so much better. The fact that I couldn't think of a C word for me.
I could think of a couple C words for you.
I knew that was coming.
Companion.
Compassionate.
Confidant.
cool, dude.
Cunt.